But they have to get it out of the mud like I did. No, that's not why you have children. Why are you having children if you want them to get it out of the mud? And it's like, think about yourself. Would you have rather have been raised into a family that had resources for you and you had plenty of opportunities to do whatever you wanted, right? In terms, anything good that you wanted to do? Or would you have liked to get it out of the mud yourself? That is crazy thinking to me. Now, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to prepare you. I'm pouring into you up until this age. You're going to have something set aside for you at a certain age. But in between that time, you're going to have to work because I want you to learn the value of work. Fine. That's very different than how a lot of these folks are talking. And I don't agree with it. It's like, if you choose to have a child and you have a nice life and you have things that you can provide for them and you can provide for yourself, you can pour into yourself, of course, but you have the obligation to pour into that child. I don't understand that thinking. We might have to talk about that in another video as well, because that really bothers me. And I don't have children. Like I said before, there's a specific environment that I would need to have children. Because no, that's not right, in my opinion. Let me know. Maybe I'm not right. Maybe I'm thinking about this in the wrong way. Y'all have to let me know. Those are my thoughts.
Scammers. We glorify the plugs. We glorify the dealers, the strippers, the gangbangers, the music. This is our culture. So at what point are we going to flip that around?
This is our adjusted culture. This has not always been Black culture. Black culture has shifted, and I think that's why I keep saying we have to control the media and our stories and what's getting pushed. Black culture was infiltrated. I'm sorry to say that, but no, Black culture was not always glorifying the rappers and the strippers. And not that there's anything wrong with that last one. That's every community, right? But it's not that it's glorified that everyone needs to do this, right? No, it's not. It's just not Black culture. And I think we need to get away from that and really morph our own culture and highlight the good. Like, even thinking about rap music, we didn't have gangster rap. That's not where rap started. Rap was wholesome. It started out well. It started out just demonstrating talent and poetry and flow, right? Beautiful. That's a beautiful piece of Black culture. Now it's morphed into mumble rap and talking about bang, 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 bang and all types of degenerate things. Sure, they put it to a really nice beat and you listen to it and you dance to it. And listen, I listen to it and I dance to it, okay, because of the beat. But when you stop and you listen to the lyrics, there are certain lyrics where I can't even listen to a song again because it's just not right. It doesn't fit for my spirit. Other things, fine. But we have to take a step back and think about that. It's not really... I just have the question for you. Is this really representative to Black culture in full? Or are these the segments of Black culture that have morphed in the past 40 years into something different that we need to clean up?
And instead of furthering these stereotypes that are pushed, not even pushed, but these stereotypes that people have against Black people, instead of like acting like that stereotypes that we typically do, and we're going through this video, why not just be the change? That's what I wish, and that's what I really want for everybody out there.
Oh, trend is bullshit, bro. Y'all done let the Ku Klux Kevins and the Ku Klux Kiaras.
Yeah, let me chime in on this while I'm riding around at work, bro. It is definitely, this is the thing with y'all, man. Don't nobody want to be around. You got hood dudes, you got street homies. You know what I'm saying? You got the differences between the two, but I'm not finna break down all the differences. It just comes down and it boils down to regular Black people that's just trying to get it and make their money and stay out of folks' way versus a motherfucker that'll rob a plug and attack a family whenever they want to crash out. And the second part of that be stationed in the hood, homie. They all up in the hood. I got a homie that did a bid for 5 years, man. Just fresh out. And he don't even want to go back to the hood because of how much trouble, not only could he get himself, but the potential of trouble that is surrounding him at all times, bro. You got people like me that'll sit and think about what I need to do to make money. I got to get a 9 to 5. You feel me? I got to work. I got to make this. I got to make. Then you got people that's like sit down, not even caring in the world. I got to crash out, man, because somebody said this and that. Man, I got to go do some kick-go action. You got people like that.
Literally people like that. You got people ready to whisk it all, whisk it up, risk it all for nothing. Literally for.
And those are the people that need to be patrolling. They need to be patrolling the streets in these communities instead of doing all this nefarious things. So they need to be the ones patrolling the streets instead of terrorizing the streets, being a menace, right? They're the ones that will risk it all. They're brave, they're strong, they're courageous. Meanwhile, those do-gooders in the community, the Black men that we really need to get to action and doing some stuff, they're not doing it. And that's the thing, that those are the traits of masculinity. You know, we can't lie, there has been this kind of I won't say an attack on masculinity, but it's not cool to be masculine. At least it hasn't been for the past years. At least there's a highlight to the toxic masculinity, right? But the really great traits of men that are fully masculine are this ability to take action, right? Bravery, courage, strength, right? Willing to risk it all. Those are some of the best traits in men, even though sometimes it gets vilified. We do need some of that. Just like you need women, you need softness, right? You need a lot of the traits that women bring, but we also need that balance of men that are going to get this stuff together. And that's what the Black community, I feel, is missing. There needs to be checks and balances, because in other societies, you have this, balance of the masculine that are doing good and they're going to get this stuff in order, and no, you riffraff over here, you're not about to just tear up this community. No, we're going to get you and put you in jail. That's what you're going to do. You're going to F around and find out. And we don't have that as much in our communities. There should be maybe Black police officers patrolling the streets. Maybe those guys need to be patrolling the streets. They need to clean it up. I don't know. That could go terribly wrong. Don't take my word for it, but I'm just thinking out loud here, right? Of who can do it. Because if you have a segment of men who are afraid of these men over here, well, where's the group of men that aren't afraid of these men over here terrorizing the streets that can put them in their place and get them to act right? Or if they're not acting right, you're getting locked up. That's what's missing. That is what's missing. And I don't know how you fix it. I honestly don't. Again, this is on Black men. This is why I say the solutions that I see fall into the court of Black men. But when you don't have those really masculine, good, quote unquote, good men, or at least men that will put other men that are not promoting their community in the right way, in the best way, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a continuation of this, because women can march and protest and say we don't like this and that and all this all day long. Men are not going to listen. And also we need that masculine energy to counteract the other masculine energy that's doing all the crime and the bad things that Amir is talking about. So this conversation has evolved a bit. I actually appreciate this video. I didn't think I would say that at the beginning, but I do appreciate this video.
For nothing. Like, they have, so there's a lot of people in the hood who have nothing to lose. And that's sad. I want them to live for something. We all can find something to live for, but to this guy's point, like, it's not, we all know, let's be so real with each other. Like, please. We know the deal. We know there's a difference between just like crapping it on black people versus being real with the stereotypes that face upon us and how we act.
I'm gonna keep it a stack. I don't want to be around motherfuckers like that at all, bro. I don't. I just don't want to be around. I don't feel comfortable with riding with a motherfucker that's in the car with me that might bring his stick with him. Or walking with somebody that might have a whole kilo in their pocket, bro. Come on, man. Y'all know what we talking about, bro. Come on. And the thing is, y'all messing this all up because you got culture and then you got ghetto. That's two different things, man. Our culture.
Oh my God, I'm shaking my head at the same time. No, I didn't expect this. I did not expect this. But yes, point taken, yes, and yes. There is black culture, and then there's ghetto hood rat culture that has infiltrated black culture. There is so much beauty in black culture, like the music, the arts, just the history that we've had, the inventions that have been made from black people in this country, the beauty, like the beauty of our people. But it gets taken over because we don't control our own media. We didn't listen to Malcolm X when he said, hey, we do this, but it's because people are not strategic. I think you have men that have taken steps, but then they talk about it, or there's not enough of them taking the steps. It does get thwarted a lot of the time. Or they're not owning things. They're just the face of something, and they think that's going to change things. That's not how it works. We're in a capitalist country. Or they don't think outside the box. Like, there's just so much. And then you tie in these conversations where you have black men saying, I can't trust this other black guy next to me. It's just like, what? How are we going to get anything done?
Running shit. That's why a lot of people trying to be like us. That's why everybody trying to have hood stoves. That's why everybody trying to have hood this, hood that involved, because our culture is strong and it's prominent in America. And then you just got straight just crash dummies, homie. Straight crash dummies, man. People that go around tearing shit up because they feel like tearing shit up, man. There's homeboys I can go to Walmart with comfortably, and there's some people I just can't take in public, man. I don't like being around them most of the time, man.
It's so real, and it's sad. It's so sad. That's what this all boils down to. This whole video boils down to is it's our mentality. It's how we're treating each other. It's how we're treating ourselves that matters most, and that's reflected within the media. That's reflected within our music. That's reflected in how we're acting in public when we all get together. Is a lot of this due to economic factors? For sure, because we have black people getting together at like Rock Nation brunch, like the Oscars Gold Party. There's successful black people that get together and nothing bad happens, maybe because they have money and they have stuff to lose. They have company, their job, they're actors, they're entertainers. I get it. But for majority of the black people in the hoods and some of these ghettos in the suburbs, whatever it may be, it's unfortunate. Are a lot of these stereotypes true? Yeah. And it's one of the main reasons why, as a black person in America, I don't get upset at being profiled or running into someone who's racist, because it's like, it's not out of nowhere. You know, back in the day, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even before then, there was unnecessary racism. This topic's getting...
He said unnecessary racism? When is racism ever necessary?
Real dicey. There was just brash racism just because someone's brown. You see a brown person, you just immediately think, oh, they're dumb, they're this or that. But our world and how we're acting now in society, if we're looking at the crime rates and statistics, we're listening to our music, we're seeing how our children are acting in the schools, you see the family culture and family dynamic at a grand scale, the trends of what's most likely that we see and how we act, there's reason to not want to be around us. There's reason to judge us. There's reason to be profiled, and it's such a sticky conversation. It so requires the context, and it's unfortunate, but that's just my lived experience. That's just how I feel when I run into racist scenarios. When I run into people who are prejudiced, I just look around. Okay, well, what's the average person that looks like me? And how are they acting, and how are they represented in the media, and not just the media, but how are they represented in our culture? You know, even think about back to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Carlton was the nerdy guy, the dweeb, the whitewashed, the coon, the Uncle Tom, and then you had Will Smith as, like, you know, the thuggish, fine, like, black dude. This goes back and it's deep.
I don't know if that's a good example. You know, you see this in a lot of, y'all, I watched mainstream TV too. You also saw this in, like, the Gilmore Girls. Yeah, the Gilmore Girls. I watched that show. You saw the girl want the guy that was, you know, not doing well in school, and this and that. And the guy that's really good and sweet, and she doesn't want him, right? What's the bad guy? The guy that was, like, ditching classes, and he always had this white jacket. I don't remember his name, but he was just doing all kinds of stuff. He wasn't doing anything right. He was a bad kid. And then the sweet guy, whose name was Dean, he was working, he was trying to go to school, he was treating her right, doing all this good stuff. She didn't want him. So yes, you see these portrayals in media. I think the thing with that is that what they're missing is like a Zach Morris, which was from, what was that? What was the name of the show? Saved by the Bell. You're missing kind of like this wholesome, kind of cool guy that's not thug, but that would have been Will Smith. He was from the hood, sure, but he, you know, he was still like, I think he was treating girls right, I guess. He wasn't like a terror to society or menace to society, at least from what I remember with the Fresh Prince. But you do have a lot of shows, TV shows and movies and stuff, where the only thing you get to see are people in the hood and dysfunction and terrorizing neighborhoods. And so there's a little bit of issue with what's produced versus what is consumed, because there have been productions made that are more wholesome, and Black people won't support them. And then there have been productions that are toxic. And in general, people tend to veer more towards the toxic. However, if we had less toxic to choose from and more wholesome to choose from, well, you would have to venture to that. So that's more about, you know, it goes back to the media, like he's saying, and to my point earlier, that's what it comes down to for me too. It's mentality, which is oftentimes narrated by the media, the programming, and then there is, you know, the issue of the economics and resources, right? And then the other piece that's missing, which he might even talk about, is relationship. If we can't trust each other, if we can't build relationships, if we don't like each other, if we don't like ourselves, if either of these three things are broken, then it doesn't work.
But it's so unfortunate because it is Black people that are our own worst enemy. You know, you don't fit into the black box. You're going to get your black card removed. You're doing white people things. You're talking white, listening to white people music. We trap ourselves in this ideological box for no reason, and then get mad when someone calls out that we're acting like the box. Like, are most stereotypes about Black people true? Yeah, because we trap ourselves in this ideological box that is Black culture, and that's how we act, that's how we are. It's very tight-knit, and there's some cool things about it. You know, I'm not gonna knock how I was raised and the situation I grew up in. Some of them are funny. Like, I've opened a box of one of those Black games you find at Target, like, oh, Black culture, this, whatever. It's funny. I relate to like in a video game, you know. But in terms of how people look at me as a Black person in America, and how, you know, people are judgy about certain Black people and this, that, and the third, I hope this video did a decent job at outlining why this is so crazy. It just feels so wrong, but it's like, it's true. It just is what it is. I hope this video did highlight and give some nuance to the stereotypes about black people and how black people are acting in the streets and how a lot of our behavior, how people view us, is justified. Is this justified? We do a lot of the most horrible things in this country. Again, we are the minority making a majority of the worst things that society has to deal with.
I think it's about perspective, because I think some people argue that a lot of CEOs of major companies are doing the worst things to people in our society, and our politicians are doing the worst things to people in society because it affects more. They have more pull, they have more range, and they can impact people in some of the worst ways while benefiting themselves. But that's just my added opinion there. Thank you, Amir, for this video. Thank you, those that completed the poll. When I last looked at it, it was 90% of y'all that wanted me to make commentary on the video. So I have done my job. I have made my commentary, and I'm out. I am out of this I am out of this conversation. If y'all want me to make some other videos about it, let me know. But I have to point out, we saw that one speck of data that was flashed on the screen, and that was it. I would have loved to have seen more. We saw some videos, some of them were funny, but what was missing, and hopefully I filled in some of those gaps at least a little bit, but this is not my video that I'm creating. I'm responding to a video, I'm commenting on his video. So there's plenty of data that we could dig into. There's plenty of archives, I'm sure. And there's the caveat that he did mention. So I am happy that he mentioned some of this. I did not expect it based on the video we talked about on DEI, because it was kind of like, oh, DEI means black people and this is bad and I don't like it. That's what I took away from the video. Y'all have to watch those series. I had to cut it up into different parts. With that, I'm going to close it out here. Let me know what y'all think about the video. If you agree with Amir, that's totally fine. Be respectful in the comments. Don't come for me. You can disagree with me. I don't care about that. But be respectful. That's fine. I'm cool. Y'all know with my videos, I like to hear different sides of the table. I like to hear different perspectives and just understand different ways of thinking. I'm not really mad at this video. I'm more so mad at the title, which was the point of this whole thing. He knows the YouTube game very well. He knows that you have to trigger emotions to get those clicks. Same thing the media does. When the next time you're scrolling, ask yourself, why am I about to click on this video right now? Is it because the image shows a person in some type of emotion? Maybe they're afraid, maybe they're happy, maybe they're sad. Or is the title making me feel a certain way? Either happy, excited, sad, angry. And that is the YouTube game right there. If this was my full-time job, I'd probably be doing more of that. But this is a hobby. I like to have these conversations. I like to listen to different videos and things on here. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to y'all later.